like inspired by the Steve Jobs and the like all of these like the Shark Tank and all of these things, the business side of things. And so I got into the College of Business at UTEP. I started doing accounting, and I figured, although accounting is the most important thing you can learn for a business, it wasn't something that I wanted to do for life. And something that was really easy for me was information systems, which is what we call IT, or technology, computer. And so for me, it was just like a combination of the technology side of things and of the business side of things. And that's how I started going into technology. And so for me, it's just like technology is meant to make our lives easier. But most importantly, technology is there to make our lives better. And so when we talk about careers in technology, we have a whole other aspect of things. But when we talk about like why going into careers of technology and why going into IT, I think for me, at that point, it was because of something that like, it was easier for me, or something that was just that I had what you would call a natural attraction to. But like, there are a lot of other perks that, had I known since the beginning, probably that decision I would have made a lot earlier, and probably I would have made better decisions going towards. Now, what two lessons that this gave me was, one, it's never too late to steer your career or your life decisions into like anything else that you want to do. For me, my thing was going in business, and ended up going into IT. Maybe later on I'll become a doctor or a lawyer or something else like that. But so one is that if you have a chance, and if you have another calling, is you can always make a change, and you should always try everything that is at your disposition for you to try. And you never know, sometimes you might like something that you had never had the intention, or that you hadn't liked. The other one is that you should also learn a lot from people who are already like working, or people who are already like some have done some sort of research or anything into the area that you're looking at. And I'm saying not only when you're talking about the college or the career that you're trying to experience, but even just like other things that are important aside from the how much does a certain job pay, which is like, what does a day in the life of another person that works in this looks like. And so I think, so for example, some of the perks that
yeah, I think you do have to do like just basic, like name, whatever.
So some of the perks that working in technology has, and especially during this pandemic, one of them is honestly that technology allows you to work from anywhere. So for people that know me, and for those that don't, I'm a person that likes to travel a lot. I've gone to Europe a couple of times, Asia. And so the thing is that technology has allowed me to even sometimes be able to work from those places. So although I've taken my vacation time and everything, I always carry my laptop with me for X or Y reason. And if there is a point where I've needed to connect back to the office and work, I was once fixing something here in El Paso from Russia, which that was a little bit challenging because we protect ourselves from Russia, and I was in Russia, so I had to take off some security things so that I could actually work. So one is, good thing is that it was working and that I couldn't get in as easily. But the second one is that it just gives you so much advantage for you to be able to like be at another place completely different from the office where you're that you would physically be working at, with any other job that you could be working at it remotely. And now we have that flexibility, and that flexibility has been able to expand to a lot of other areas. But because of IT, you have been able to expand that. So it is like, one, the pioneer, but the other thing is that it is also like the root of where all of this is going to start to happen. And so if for you, like being able to work from wherever place, like for me, like this working from home, I was like, you know what, had it been like working from home for another reason other than the pandemic, I probably would have already been in a beach in Tulum, working from there a couple of months, you know, just going in, grinding it out during the day, but then after work, you know, going to the beach, surf a little bit, or do something else. And so that's one of those perks. The other one is that there is a high demand for people in technology. And that is something that you have to take into consideration, which is maybe technology is not your total passion, but you should always find a balance between something that you will like, but also something that serves you in a monetary and in a job stability kind of aspect. And the reason why I say this is because we work in a world of supply and demand. Maybe philosophy is your passion, but there's not that much demand for jobs that follow that career. And so that's also something that we have to understand, and that we have to be grounded. We have to be realistic, and we also have to be very, very true to ourselves. And the good thing is that with technology, there is a lot of demand for jobs in technology. The United States has a shortage for engineers. It has a shortage for people in cybersecurity, it has a shortage for software developers, has a shortage for a lot of other aspects. Now, the other thing that I will say about careers in technology is some of us, we don't like to go to school. I personally didn't enjoy school as much. My thing was when I was going to school, a lot of people that don't like school, for some reason, they extended a lot of time because they're like, I don't like this, I don't like to do it. And somehow they end up 8 years to like finishing a bachelor's degree, which my thing was, I don't like school. I need to get it over quick because I know I'm going to need it anyways. So that like bachelor's is a new high school diploma, and I will totally say that. And so for me, it was, I need to finish school quickly. So I finished my first year in college. I already had 60 credit hours, which would complete half of my degree program. And what I did was I took out basics. I did some dual credit in high school, not that much, but the first year I took out 5-7 classes, did double summers, all of that to take out all those classes which I deemed not as contributing to my career, which would be your basics, your political science, your history, all of those, which don't necessarily relate entirely to your career, but that you still have to take. And then my second and third year, I was already working at a technology support center at UTEP. And I was also interning with Workforce Solutions, which is where I work now. What I did was I just got it over quickly. But the good thing about jobs in technology is that even for some jobs, you still don't have to follow that 4-year university. And although I still think it's very necessary, or that it's still very, very useful for sure, it is also not completely necessary. I wouldn't trust a doctor that didn't go to school, but necessarily, but I probably somebody fixed my computer. If he knows how to do it, then that would be fine if he didn't have a college degree. So there is a lot of certifications that you can take, or a lot of these you can take them while you're going to school, so you can have a better job while you're going to school. So instead of you working at the library or working at a restaurant or something like that, it's okay. It's like, that's perfectly fine. I did it. But had I had a job as an IT technician during school with already gathering experience, so by the time you graduate, not only did you already graduate, but you also already have working experience, like that will give you such a cutting edge and such a competitive advantage that it's just like totally, totally worth it. So you could take a lot of these certifications, like the CompTIA certifications or your Cisco certifications, which are, one, you're not going to pay like the huge amounts that you would pay for a college degree. And then the other thing is that it could give you a step ahead, and that as you're doing them, then you're just going to get a lot more things in your portfolio, because you have to take into consideration that it's not only education, it is also experience. And a lot of these things are very practical things that they will give you a lot of that experience. So I suggest that you look into more of what it is that I am trying to do and how can I really achieve that, and also what are my other options. And really explore, like I said at the beginning, not only your career, but okay, let's say you already decided that you want to do careers in technology. What are the options that you want to go with that? Which is, do I want to be a software developer? Well, then try looking at things that would be like into programming, into software development, computer architecture, stuff like that, that will be more directed towards that. Now, let's say you're really interested in cybersecurity. Then try going into like, what things would I need to be able to get a career in cybersecurity? And so, for example, for me, I think, well, especially right now with the pipeline hack that just happened this week, you are going to see that there is going to be a search for jobs in cybersecurity. I think that is the most sort of exciting field that there is, that is growing a lot. And the reason why is we just go back to simple supply and demand scheme. Right now, honestly, they say that in the next few years, wars are going to be fought with technology, and they're going to be, messing up another country's resources, messing up another country's guidelines. Whenever you shut down of something that we feel that is totally normal for us, but if you were to shut down electricity for a city for a couple of days, you would look at the economic, at the cultural, at even the ethics implications that will take. A lot of people will make really bad decisions from that, and all that just trickles down. And so it's one of those things where we have to look at what is it out there more than just by the time I graduate, what is there going to be out there further along? Something that was really, and I think probably the most interesting field for me was Fintech, so financial technology. And right now with the surge of cryptocurrencies and also the increasing technology that has been applied to even like the banking industry. There are even some banks right now that, yes, they will take your credit score into consideration, but then they also, because of the use of technology, they can take other other categories in your life that they could be like, you know what, we could give them a credit because we have the technology that we gather this information. So information is the key here. We looked at other data sets and other information that could give us a good knowledge whether this person would be a good person for us to give them certain credit. So it's just one, technology is ever changing and we got to change with it. But then the other thing is that as technology is ever changing, we got to make it, like I said before, not to make our lives easier, but also to make our lives better. And with that being said, I will pass it over to Mr. Dwayne Jackson, which I've already explained to you guys a little bit about cybersecurity, but I think he will give you a lot better explanation, and also just basically from his experience. So Dwayne, go ahead, take it over.
Thank you, Roberto. I really appreciate it. So yeah, a little background on me. I know that Cameron did say a lot of experience. So I am a military veteran. I retired after the military after 20 years. So I have a total of 22 years of IT experience. Of the first 20 years, I did exactly what Alberto was talking about, system administration, network administration, stuff like that. And I loved it. So for someone looking to get into IT, and I'll get into cybersecurity a little bit later on, but the main thing I want to say, if you want to get into IT, you got to want to help people, because you don't know, it's a wonderful feeling that somebody's computer's broken and they can't work and they're freaking out and they're pulling their hair out, and you come and you fix it. And they're like, oh my God, you're the best person ever. It's just a really good feeling. So at your base level, you gotta be one, you like to help people. And that's gotta be that passion that's within you. I got into IT when I was you guys' age. I joined the military. They said, hey, they said, hey, the job you want isn't available. We have a job in IT. Well, back then it was brand new. So I'm like, sure, I like computer games. I'll fix a computer. So, and I ended up staying 20 years because I loved it. Answering the question I saw, what degree do you need to get to be an IT worker? Right before a couple years before I got out in 2018, I got my degree in computer networks and cybersecurity. That kind of helped me fully transition, because there's just like there's different branches of medicine, there's different branches of IT. You know, you have your system administration, which does help desk stuff. You have your network administration, which they connect computers together. They're the people that make the computers talk, the internet basically. And then you have security, which I went into, which is keeping those computer systems secure, keeping what we call threat actors, the people that hack the pipeline, like Alberto was saying, those are what we call threat actors. Those are people who, for monetary reasons, want to steal your system. And to give you an example of what happened with the Capitol pipeline, if you're reading the news, that was called a ransomware. What it does is that a person downloads a program onto the computer, and it basically locks the computer up. And it says, we're not going to unlock the computer unless you give us $5 million. Boom, done. Either you lose all your information or you give them $5 million. And criminal organizations, they know this. So my job at cybersecurity is twofold. One is to educate the user on how to better mitigate that risk. So if I'd have been working for the pipeline, I might say, hey, if this email looks suspicious, send it to me. Let me look at it first. Don't click on it unless I give you the go ahead, because it may be from a malicious actor. And he's absolutely right. Our infrastructure is very old and easy to break into. So a little bit more about cybersecurity, about what I do. For the past 3 years, I have been a application security specialist. So what that means is I look at an application and I tell a developer, how can we make this application more secure where nobody can break into it? You know what I mean? I'm the network defender, the cyber defender, if you will. So, I'm looking at the chat right now from Ethan. So there's several certifications depending on what you want to do. Like I said, almost all colleges have a computer science department that will give you a degree in computer science. Computer science is very broad, but it usually leans toward programming, being what they call a developer. A developer, I know some of you guys may play video games. That's a great example for developers. Minecraft, my son loves Minecraft. Well, there are people that write computer programs that the computer can understand and humans can understand, and they create worlds with that. They use their imagination to create a virtual world. And that's where computer science will get you in the door with developing. As far as certifications, depending on what you want to do you want to be the guy that goes to their desk and fixes the desktop? Do you want to be the network person, or do you want to be the security person? There's 3 different certifications to start out with that. The very base level certification for your desktop support would be CompTIA A+. That's the first. That's what I would recommend to anybody wanting to get their feet wet with IT. It's an entry level certification. It's not terribly difficult, but it gets your feet wet to say, okay, do I have the correct mindset for this job? Do I have the correct mindset to fix computers? Because it could be at the A+ level, it's more like a piece doesn't work, I replace it with another piece, boom, done. Network Plus goes into a little bit more depth, talks about how computers communicate. The internet doesn't just magically happen. There's a lot of stuff on the background that happens when this video call, for example, is ran over the network. If for some reason your computer couldn't connect to the internet, you call up the ISP, they talk you through some things. Well, that's your network admin right there. Those are the people who help you interconnect the system. The third one, the security side, is Security Plus. And that one is what I do. It is doing certain things like your password. You probably have one password for everything. Well, they say not a really good idea. I'm the person who looks at the passwords. Are they secure? Do you have the proper policies in place to ensure that no one can break into your system? That's my job. I'm there to keep your network safe. And I'm here to educate you on how to avoid falling in the trap that the Capitol pipeline people did. Because if they wouldn't have clicked that link, absolutely, it's a team effort, Ethan. Absolutely a team effort. And once again, I'm give you guys a very broad, high-level overview, but it's 100% a team. No one person can monitor the network. There's in cybersecurity, there's entire teams of people that their whole job is dedicated to monitoring the network. And there you go. Yep, CompTIA Online. That is exactly what I was talking about. There's entire teams. They call them Security Operations Center, the SOC, and their job is to monitor the network. It's because if you have, like, I work for Raytheon. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but they're huge. They're a huge company, and the world knows they're huge. And they develop Department of Defense products and things like that. So everybody wants to know what we know. So the best way, if you can't innovate, you try to steal. And my job is to keep those threat actors, the Chinas, the Russias, the Irans, from stealing our information, our money, from stealing our intellectual property, which would be like, if you think of something great, you think of the next best, I don't know, best computer system, best operating system. Somebody else wants it. Instead of buying it from you, they want to steal it from you. My job is to keep them from doing that, and to assist people who develop in making programs where they can't be broken into. And of course, that's only half of it. The other half is user awareness, just like we're doing right now. Alberto touched on it, but I will expand upon it from personal experience. The cybersecurity industry is booming right now. I mean, it's through the roof. Like, you would be surprised. This may be a little bit too early, but I'm gonna tell you this right now. If you start going to college, create a LinkedIn. LinkedIn is like Facebook, but for professionals. And that's how most of the professionals have gotten a hold of me. You wouldn't believe how many people are throwing jobs at me right now, saying, hey, we want you to work for us, we want you to work for us, we want you to work for us. And I have to turn them down and say, no, I have a job already. But that's it. If you want to go into a field that's cutting edge, you want to go into a field that's always going to be in demand. And the pay is no slouch either. Like you said, you shouldn't do it for the money. If you go in for the money, you're going to be miserable. I see people do it in the Army. They switched over from whatever their primary job was, whether it was admin or whether it was like a combat arms, into IT, and because they thought that, oh, I can get promoted faster, I can make more money. They hated it. Please try it. If you like it and you're passionate about it, great. But if you do it for the money, you'll be miserable. There's no other way I can tell you. And that's as simple as I can put it. But yeah, if you want to get into IT, I would say look at some of the study guides. Like I said, I talked about developing. Well, developing, people write code in what they call computer languages. Take a computer, there's Java, which is the big one. There's Python. Those are two easiest and most broadly used ones. If you think you might be interested, pick up a book. There's plenty of online resources. Okay, do I like this? Do I not like this? Am I interested? Alberto mentioned Bill Gates. His name is probably Robert. Mentioned Bill Gates. He started developing Microsoft as a teenager when he was your age, younger than you guys. So he had a true passion for it, and that passion made him, one of the richest people in the world. So I would say, if you have that critical thinking background, you like thinking through problems, you like thinking outside the box and trying to figure out the answer to problems. And in my case, if you want to go to security, think of how people might break into your system. That's what I like to do. I like to guess how can somebody break into my system? How would a bad guy break into my network? And I have to fix it before he even thinks about it. So if that's the kind of person that you are, then I absolutely recommend it to you. 100% recommend that to you. If you like helping people, if you like critical thinking, those skills are highly in demand. Do it because you're passionate about it. And Alberto, is something I want to repeat as well. Yes, you may have a passion, but also think about, will my job be a real job in 20 years? Example for you guys, McDonald's. McDonald's is starting to transition away from cashiers. So guess what? If you're banking your life on being a cashier, robots taking your job. Just kind of think about that. You know what I mean? Because they have automated tellers. They have use the app. So guess what? They don't need cashiers anymore. They might need servers and everything else. Don't get me wrong. McDonald's is a great stepping stone to do bigger and better things. But when you look at your career, I'd say look at a career in which that has growth and is always in demand. And IT is that job. They're always growth. It's always in demand. They're always going to need IT people forever. So if you have that personality and you can do it, I wouldn't want to have any other job in the world. People try to lure me away from the job. I wouldn't want any other job my whole life. I love it that much. But I think I've stepped on my soapbox enough. So I'm looking at another one from Ethan. How many hours a day do I spend working in cybersecurity? So here's the fun part, right? I like cybersecurity so much that I actually read news stories about it. I like to listen how other companies got hacked and be like, well, if I worked for that company, how would I protect them? What would I say? What would I tell the IT department to educate the people on? You love using Python? Python's an excellent coding language. And if you can prove, and Alberto did mention this, I want to touch on degrees a little bit. You can get a job being a developer with no degree. That is possible. But here's the but. Everybody else is doing the same thing you're doing. With that degree, it opens the door. It gets hiring managers noticing you. It's saying, hey, this guy or gal has got the discipline to get the degree. We're going to give him a shot before we give the other person. And if you have two people that are excellent developers, the guy or gal with the degree will always get the job over the person that doesn't. So while you don't need it, while you don't need the degree, it's definitely a leg up on all your peers, because you think that we're telling you IT is good. Well, every other hiring person in the world is telling their people IT is good. So everybody's trying to jump on that bandwagon. What makes you better than everybody else? That's the inside, the reflection you got to give yourself. What makes me better than every other developer out there that's using Python right now? And more often than not, it comes down to how long you've been doing it for, how good you are, but also the degree. So I'm all for, like you said, getting your Python, getting in there, doing coding. I personally don't like coding because I'm too analytical. I say coding is for dreamers, people who like to dream up new things and think of new games and stuff like that. I'm not a dreamer. I'm a very black and white, ones and zeros kind of person, which that's a coding joke, that's an IT joke. Computers talking ones and zeros. And you'll learn that as you go on. But that's the kind of person that I am. And, I would say, it's not about hours of coding. If you love coding, you got to be able to demonstrate on a dime. Like if you go into a job interview and says, hey, I'm a Python coder, they're gonna be like, all right, cool. Make me a program that does this and this and this and this. And you got to be able to do it like that. Whether you do it for an hour a day or you do it for 8 hours a day, it doesn't matter. Can you produce? Can you do what they ask you to do on the spot in that interview under pressure? If the answer is yes. Doesn't matter how much you do it. As long as you can demonstrate results. If you can produce results, people, they will hire you. Even as hey, if you tell them, hey, I'm in college right now, I'm working to get my computer science degree, but I know how to do this. Heck, some like my old job at Prudential, they will pay you to go to college. They will pay for your college tuition while you work. So that's something to think about too. So pending any other questions, I'm going to turn it back over to the host. And yeah, if you have any other questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Dwayne, I was actually going to ask you some questions. Well, one is you touched base on your job being there in years. I will send over a web page so that you guys can look at different jobs that are at risk of being automated, that robots will take over. So you could look at the job that you want to take, and let's say you want to be an accountant. Well, that's just because that's the first one that comes out. Well, it'll tell you the risk of that job disappearing and how long it will take for that. But then the other one that I was going to ask you is, you mentioned your military background. How do you think that like the skills that you learned in the military, other than the technical cybersecurity or the technical IT skills, like what other skills do you think the military gave you that you are able to apply in your job right now, and how they have helped you?
That is an excellent question. And Chris, don't forget, I'll still see your question. I'll answer it after Alberto's question. So what we call those skills, we call those soft skills. Those are skills that are not related to your job. How has the military helped me be better? Number one and foremost, it taught me discipline. And something I'm going to tell you guys, I tell my son all the time, discipline means doing things that you don't want to do because it's helping the greater good, i.e. going to college. Going to college proves that you have discipline. Nobody wants to go to college, but well, there's some of those weird people that enjoy doing it, but most of us don't like it. But we do it because it's a self-discipline. We do it because we know it needs to get done. We know it will lead to the greater good. That's the first thing it taught me. It taught me to take the initiative, meaning do what's right without being told. Right? Employers love that. If you know what the boss wants and you give it to them before they ask, they're gonna love you. They're gonna love you forever. I mean, they're gonna be like, that guy is, promote him, throw more money at him because this guy or gal is awesome. That's just, and I said, see, not north south over here from managers, so discipline, initiative, and ambition, and the structure to channel my ambition into action, because you can dream all day, but dreaming gives you absolutely nothing. You got to have that willpower, that desire to channel your ambition into obtainable goals. And that's what the military gave me. They gave me that strong disciplinary base to know what needs to get done and handle it without complaint. And I know that sounds kind of daunting, but, and I don't know if workforce is going to get mad at me, but I recommend the military. If college is your thing, military is okay. You know, people say, oh, military is bad. No, it gave me the discipline, because I wasn't ready at your guys' age to go to college. I knew I wasn't. You know what I mean? I knew I wasn't ready. So as a result, I said, give me a couple of years in the military. I'll, you know, temper my youth with a little bit of wisdom, a little bit of discipline, and I will, you know, become out a better person. Well, I lasted a little bit longer than I expected. I only expected to stay in 5, maybe 7 years. 20 years later, loved every bit of it. Been all over the whole world, got tons of experience and the respect of serving our country. And you have a recipe for a good employee that everybody wants to hire. Now, I'm gonna circle back around to Chris, subnetting. So subnetting in my field, not so much. My field in cybersecurity, I do what they call application security, which is a subset of cybersecurity. And it's relatively new. It's only been out. The type of application security is called static application security, and it's very new. So no, unfortunately, I don't do subnetting. But if you like subnetting, network administration does subnetting. That's where you would find your subnetting, your more subnetting, and it would be in the frame of this. Hey, you know, we have this many, we need you to help us build a network, and we want 50 computers today, but in a month or in 6 months, we plan on growing double. Give me an IP range that will support all these computer addresses so we don't run out.
Right.
That's
we're
what
doing that in school right now too, because I'm going to Western Tech for that, and we're learning that, and I can see myself doing that. But I would also like want to go into the military after to like even boost that even more. You know what I mean? Because I saw they offer like 200 certifications you can get just through the Army and IT.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and going through that tech, that Western Tech, will help you with the ASVAB. And the higher score you do in the ASVAB, the more jobs that opens up. So the better you do on this test, it opens up more jobs. You tell them, hey, and believe it or not, in case you guys are curious, and I don't want to sell it too much because I know this is workforce, but the Army has cybersecurity jobs too. They just opened up about 7 years ago. Cybersecurity just opened up in the Army. So they have cybersecurity jobs where you can be cyber defenders. So that's a real thing. Subnetting is very important. It's kind of like in math, it would be like your base, like your 2 + 2 or your addition, subtraction, multiplication. It's your base. Understanding subnetting helps you better understand cybersecurity, because you got to know how is somebody going to try to attack you, because they only attack you more often than not. They attack you from the outside in. Now, there's also something called insider threats, which is something a little bit different, but most cyber attacks come from the outside. So having a good understanding of networking and subnetting is definitely key to a cybersecurity job. So I think I've talked quite a bit. Without any more questions from me, I'll answer any question you got.
Awesome. I do see one other one in the chat. Ethan says, I want to do aerospace. Is it a good idea to work in the Air Force for experience? Also, I want to work at Lockheed Martin. So
my question to you is that aerospace. So yes, Lockheed Martin is a great company. They do a lot with airplanes. So does Boeing. So when you say aerospace, does that mean you want to be a pilot? Would you like to be a pilot? Do you want to be a crew member? Do you want to work on, you know, do you want to be like an air traffic controller? Do you want to be the person that maintenances the aircraft? You know, there's a lot going on with the aerospace. Do you want to eventually be an astronaut? You want to work on maintenance? Okay, so in that case, if you like to work on maintenance, and I would say this, if you want to work on airplanes specifically, I would say Air Force or Navy. They have a lot of Air Force technicians. Army has some planes. They have quite a few planes, but they're mostly cargo planes, and it's a little bit more difficult. We have more helicopters than we have planes. So if you would like to do aircraft maintenance for like actual airplanes, I would say Navy or Air Force would definitely be a good place to go. Lockheed Martin is what we call contractors. Those are civilians that work directly hand in hand with military members, but where a military person will be at a particular station, like me, for example. I never stayed at one station longer than like 4 years. That was a maximum. El Paso is the longest I've been anywhere in my life. And I've been here for 5 years. You know, so contractors, what they do is, and especially Lockheed Martin and Boeing and things like that, they are civilians who stay there for 5, 10, 15 years. They never leave the city. So they have that continuity. So yeah, I would definitely recommend, if talk to a recruiter, says, hey, you know, I'm looking for aircraft maintenance, the Navy and the, I know the Navy has a lot of planes and the Marines have some, but Navy and Air Force are the ones where you could definitely be a mechanic on airplanes. Now, if you want to work on helicopters, I'd probably say ask the Army as well, because we have a lot of helicopters as well.
Awesome, thank you. These are really good questions, you guys. So if you think of any others, please feel free to continue sending them. We do have some time to continue talking about those. I did want to just piggyback off of a couple things that they mentioned. So first of all, Mr. Jackson, we should be recruiting you, because you have preached on so many things that we talk about in terms of being career ready. And one of those is, you know, whatever pathway it takes to get to your career, whether that is college, whether it's the military, whether it's an apprenticeship program, certification, we want students to choose a career that they're passionate about and then succeed in the workforce. And so you do not have to apologize for encouraging the military. I think it's awesome. And definitely lots of opportunities there for students. And then also something that you both had mentioned was this term high demand for the information technology workers, right? And so that's something we talk a lot about in our program as well, because we do not want all of you to go through college, go through training, spend all of this time and money working towards an occupation that's disappearing, right? That would be a big waste of time and of energy and resources. And so instead, we want you to be aware of what's in high demand, what's growing, kind of like Albert kept saying, the supply and demand, because that way you will have more secure positions in the future. And so I actually wanted to share my screen with you really quick and just give you something to look at, which is our hot jobs brochure, specifically our computer information systems portion. And so these are actually the occupations in the Borderplex region, so El Paso and West Texas. And these are the occupations that are in high demand. So they're growing, they're high paying, and they're going to be available to you when you're ready to enter the workforce. And so you can see some specific examples on here. If you have any questions about any of these, I'm sure either Albert or Dwayne could answer those for you. But I just wanted you to see, you know, of all of the different jobs in IT, these are the ones that are most in demand in our area specifically. So if you have any questions, please feel free to send them in the chat, either about this or just in general. I'll leave it up for just a moment.
And then Cameron, I know we're gonna go into also, we mentioned the street team coming in, telling the students here about some of the programs that Workforce has. Something that I wanted to say is, I was a product of Workforce. So when I was 16, I did the summer youth program, in which Workforce was able to find me a job and subsidize that for me. But then they also gave me classes on like how to behave at a job and how to, things that we think that are like super like easy and probably even dumb, which is like how to fill out a timesheet. But honestly, there are some things that you are gonna miss. Or there are some things that are apparently like in any workplace, whether it's a restaurant or it's an office, there are some things that you have to know and that are inherent for any job, but that when it's your first job, you just really don't know. And I think that's something that I do wanna, like, for me, it helped me a lot. It definitely shaped the way I perform at a job. And I feel like if you are a youth and you have the capability of qualifying for any of these programs, want to know more about these programs, is do check into them, because in the long run, it'll serve. Like I said, I was a product of Workforce and now I am directing the IT department for Workforce. So I am living proof that these programs, they help you, they really direct you and change people's lives.
Awesome.
So, I'm sorry, Cameron. I just wanted to add a little bit something myself. I agree with Alberto 110% because coming out of the military, culture, and the culture doesn't always mesh with what you consider it's a civilian life. It doesn't mesh at all. And I did a fellowship with Prudential, and it was probably the most eye-opening 6 months of my life, or 3 months of my life. And I realized that civilians don't want to be talked to like military wants to be talked to. They have feelings and they have thoughts. And in the military, it's because I said so. And they, they give you they point at you, and say, kind of like almost like parents almost. But yeah, it was definitely, I definitely highly recommend you go to a training program to show you how to be in the corporate world, because you don't know. You've been a student your whole life. You've been in mom and dad's house, people that care about you, to go into a civilian world where all they care about is what can you do for them. They're paying you for a service. What can you do for them? And if you can't produce, then why are you there? And I know it sounds harsh, but unfortunately, life can be harsh that way sometimes too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying everybody's going to be a stickler and be a butthole or anything like that. I'm just saying learning the basic skills and how to interact with people in the workplace is paramount. And you don't, just like you said, it ain't common sense neither. Because I thought I had common sense, and I got my butt chewed off a bunch of times. But yeah, it is what it is. All right, I'm done. I'll stop.
No, that's okay. Thank you. I appreciate you both chiming in, because it's true, right? It's not just the technical skills and the training that you need to be successful. It's a whole bunch of other things, those soft skills, a lot of those people skills. And so, yeah, I think that's a great transition into our last speaker. I wanted to give Miss Leticia Mattingly a chance to just introduce our youth program and some of the services that we can offer directly for you all who might be looking for jobs or other opportunities. So I will turn it over to her.
Hello, everybody. And as Albert, I'm also a success story here with the workforce. I was also with the work-based learning with CCS, and then they hired me full-time, and then I transferred to Dynamic. So now I'm with the street team with Dynamic. I was previously a customer service representative. So if you've ever been to the workforce, as soon as you walk into the center, the people that greet you, the people that help you out, that would be what I was doing before. But now I'm with the street team. This is, I believe, my first week as a permanent position. So it is pretty great program in the sense of, getting your feet wet. And if you do great, then you have the opportunity to get hired by that employer. We do offer training, and we also offer the work-based learning and on-the-job training. It is based on income. If you are qualifying through income, if you're receiving food stamps, which is called SNAP, if you're receiving any other type of government assistance, then you should be able to qualify. Of course, all of this is based on fund availability. So therefore, just go ahead and let me know if you're interested. I'll get your information. I'll go ahead and do a pre-screening, see if you qualify for the program. IT is one of our target of occupations, as Ms. Cameron Wright stated. And so we should be able to assist if you qualify.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And congrats on your new position. But yeah, just like she mentioned, so really the youth program offers a whole variety of opportunities to help you move forward towards your career. And so they can help place you in work-based learning or in work experience with different employers. And I know she mentioned if you qualify, right, based on those different, criteria. But I know for most of you, if you're currently in school, I know most schools right now with COVID are offering free and reduced lunch for people, or free lunches for students. And so that would actually allow you to qualify typically into the program as well. And so if you're looking for a summer job, you want experience in IT, but you don't know where to look, you just want a mentor or someone to help you out, I would encourage you after this, like I mentioned, you'll have the chance to stop by our different booths. So go talk to Leticia, see if she can help get you set up, collect some of your information, and just discuss what kinds of opportunities would be available. So on that note, before we close here and send you on your way to those booths, do you have any additional questions that you've thought of for Albert, for Dwayne, for Leticia, or for myself? Okay, if not, maybe each of our speakers could send their email if they're comfortable in the chat. And that way, if you think of any questions or you want to connect, you have that as a resource. Otherwise, I do want to say thank you guys so much for attending. I think that was really good discussion. It sounded like some of your questions got answered, which I'm happy about. So like I said, once you close out of this window, it should take you right back to Premiere Virtual, where you'll see those different options to speak with our guests. Okay, so you are free to do that at this time. They all have sent their emails in the chat, so copy those if you'd like. And thank you again. I hope you have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Albert and Dwayne, for speaking. And thank you, Leticia, also for being here. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me again. I really appreciate it. So I don't know if anybody's still here, but
Thank you.
breakout room.
Bye.
All right, jump off.
Yeah, so if you guys want to head to, are you able to get into Premiere?
Let me double check. I logged into something earlier today, and let me verify that I can. I don't want to do a recording a minute and I can't figure it out. You're recording me right now.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Actually.